Our gracious Father in heaven, as we meet here this beautiful sunny afternoon to remember the life of Lila Thompson, we're so grateful for the legacy she leaves behind, for the many good lessons she has taught us, for her love and for her charity. We're grateful for the knowledge we have that we may again return and be with her as she has returned to be with Melvin this day. We're grateful that she is not suffering any longer and is through the pain of death. We pray that the blessings will be with us, thy Spirit will be with us this day as we go throughout the day, that we may remember kindly of her and rejoice with one with another about her life. We're grateful again for all we have and say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
In case I forgot to recognize, that was Brother Valden Hoth, a brother. Life sketch today will be by Teresa C. Holzer, a daughter, and then we'll have some memorials by the grandchildren about Grandma Lila. Alex, Emily, Kendall, Ian, Autumn, Jessica, Joshua, and Jacob will do that, and we'll go to that point. Sister C. Holzer.
Sorry, I have one prop to share in a minute. Thank you for all being here. We appreciate your support. From Mom's handwritten notes, she left us a wonderful life sketch written by her that was filled with many thoughts and great memories, of which I'll share just some brief portions today. Lila Joy Hoth Thompson was born on April 30th, 1937, the third of 6 children to Charles Frank and Olive Maddox Hoth. From tough financial times in the 1930s, Charlie and Olive had boarders in their home to help make ends meet. One of the boarders had a sister named Lila, and Grandma Olive loved the name, so that's how Mom got her name. She wrote how she had a happy childhood, and we know how Lila loved her siblings. DeVerle, Jay, Charlene, Ray, and Val. Additionally, her dad's brothers all lived close too, and the cousins all played together often. Whether it was hide and seek or Red Rover, along with many years playing in the canal by their house, where they enjoyed winters on the ice or summers in the water, she said it was fun living by the canal. Funny though, because the next generation, we were all told to stay out of the canal. Mom also wrote in her history how she and many of her cousins all attended Adams School together, and the fun and memories that they made there. Many of us cousins in my generation, we all attended Adams School together, and we have great fond memories as well. She loved when her dad built their new home on 600 East. The yard was big, and the kids were taught how to help with the harvest from the fruit trees or the garden. Their garden always helped supplement the family income from selling tomatoes, apples, corn, beans, and cucumbers. Everyone in the family was expected to do their share of work. She also relayed how she and her siblings would get on a bus and go pick pole beans throughout Cache Valley. They'd pick from early morning until early afternoon before it got too hot. They were paid 2.5 cents a pound and usually made about $5 a day. Mom had scarlet fever in her grade school years, and she and her 3 other siblings were all quarantined at home. Then in junior high, she got rheumatic fever and was home from school for almost 2 months. This didn't hold her back, though, as she wrote, "I had excellent athletic ability, did well in sports, and received physical fitness awards in junior and senior high." She then wrote in her journal, "My grandkids surely got their athletic talent from me." Many years later, her doctors would tell her that her heart issues were likely from having the rheumatic fever when she was in her teen years. She loved going camping, and as the family, they would go to Salt Lake to visit aunts and uncles and cousins there, especially over at Uncle Irv's to Maddox Ranch House, where he would bring out chicken for them to take home. In the summer of Mom's junior and senior year of high school, she would go over to work at Maddox, stay the week with Irv and Wilma, and then come home on the weekends. She said, "I made good money there." After high school, she worked at a few local department stores and planned to save money to go to cosmetology school. We all know the story thereafter of how she met Dad, but I love this line that she wrote in her journal. After Melvin told DeVerle and Jay he would go home and marry their sister after his mission, Jay said to Dad, "Well, good luck, because she's madly in love with a guy and he's in the Navy." Mom's words from her journal were, "How grateful I am that Jay gave Melvin a challenge. He made sure he didn't let any grass grow under his feet, and they were married on September 28th, 1956, the fall after Melvin had returned, and the rest is history." Mom's fond memories came from fun trips with her siblings to visit the Oregon coast, camping trips around Labor Day to the Snake River, and she also loved watching grandkids play in their sporting events and getting phone calls from grandkids to hear about what they were doing. Sometimes I would hear the same stories over and over. That's because she loved her grandkids so much. She also stayed close with her siblings, taking road trips now and then with DeVerle and Joanne to watch the Aggies play out of state. And oh, how she loved when Val and DeVerle and Jay would bring her freshly filleted fish. Mom was resilient, and she was resilient through tough times. During many emotional challenges, when the foster children that they cared for, challenges there, along with Melvin's challenges from a nervous breakdown due to a certain boss that he had at Logan Manufacturing, which all when I was in my senior year of high school. I know they basically started over financially at that time, and Mom supported Dad 100%. She was also the one who lovingly agreed that they could care for Grandma Prue in our home in her last years. Mom was selfless in all things. Mom loved writing a poem for us kids, especially on Valentine's Day, and we'd each get a personalized one that was unique and funny. So today I've written a poem for our mom to conclude my thoughts. It's a true love story, as our mom and dad were meant for each other. Dad loved to tell us kids the tale of how he met our mother. They had fun in their marriage and worked hard as a team. What one couldn't do, the other would, it seemed. And I'll never forget that time when Mother was mad, when a fluffy teal-colored nightgown arrived as a gift from Dad. She thought it was nonsense and did vocally exclaim, "You paid $80 for that?" she said with disdain. We'll never know if she wore it, but its outcome brought laughter, for it became a princess dress-up for autumn 25 years later. Our Sunday night tradition was to gather at their home, and the grandkids made Melvin nervous as through the house they did roam. Health challenges and constant oxygen became part of her life, but Mel did his best every day to care for his wife. Life changed for her quickly, and she absorbed new fears, and she was humble and quiet in these last few years. But she endured and was strong even throughout her decline, and we could tell she was lonely when she'd simply answer, "I'm fine." Many nights since Dad's passing, Brian or I would go tuck her in bed, for our roles had reversed. She needed us now instead. So good night for now. We love you, sweet mother. You taught us well, and most importantly, how to serve one another.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you all. It's been a long time. Teresa reached out and asked all of us grandkids to try and think of some favorite memories about Grandma, and it was so hard just to pick one because anyone that knew her just knew what a light she was to all of us in this world and what a positive influence she was, and she was just that calming presence that we needed even when times were tough. I was able to come up with one, and one of my favorite memories with Grandma was a little game we played on the bench swing on front of her house. I'm sure many of you can picture exactly what that looked like. Their street was pretty busy, so we had plenty of material to work with. A car would pass, and we would take turns claiming them, one for me, one for her. Then we'd decide whose car won based on highly scientific criteria, overall cool factor, how nice it looked, or let's be honest, just whether or not it seemed like it would break down in the next 5 minutes. It was just me and her swinging back and forth for what felt like hours, lost in our own little world of imaginary car ownership. Of course, I took it up a notch. Grandma had this old Where's Waldo costume that I would wear, and while we played our car game, I'd wave at every passing driver. And let me tell you, the number of people who ignored a small child dressed as Waldo, desperately trying to make their day with a wave, was appalling. I had no choice but to take it personally, but Grandma assured me it was the costume, and Waldo is hard to find. We also spent hours doing Where's Waldo books together. I like to think she was training me to be a very detail-oriented person, always looking for the silly things in life. Last summer, while waiting for a bus in downtown Breckenridge while I was on vacation with my family, I taught the car game to my little girls, Anna and Abby. I told them it was mine and great-grandma's special game, and now they're completely hooked. We even updated the rules. Subarus are now automatic losses. Because as some of you know, I have a deep and unwavering disdain for Subarus. Looking back, I realized those little moments with Grandma taught me something important about slowing down, finding joy in the simplest things, and making any situation fun just by being together. She had this quiet way of making ordinary moments feel special, and I love that this silly game, this little tradition, is living on through Grandma's great-granddaughters. I'll always be able to picture us there, side by side on that swing, claiming cars, laughing, and reminding each other that life really isn't about having the best car. It's about having the best company. My sister Emily couldn't be here today, but she sent her notes from her favorite memory, and I'm going to read those as well. So this is from Emily. It's almost impossible to choose just one favorite memory of Grandma, because in truth, she wasn't defined by grand gestures or big showy moments. She was woven into the very fabric of my childhood, present in the smallest, sweetest ways that made each of us feel like the most important person in the world. She had this quiet magic about her, the way she would watch me spoon powdered sugar into the measuring cup as if even the simplest tasks were something special in her eyes, or the patience in her hands as she guided mine, helping me thread a bobbin, never rushing, never frustrated, just gentle encouragement and love. I can still picture us on that front porch swing, her soft voice narrating an endless game of I Spy while we watched the world go by, as if there was nowhere else she'd rather be. I can still hear the rustling of a cookie tin being opened, revealing treats she had made just for us. Her love was in the songs she sang, the warmth of her laughter, and the way she and Grandpa's playful banter filled the house like background music to our childhood. When I think of them, I don't think of one particular day or event. I think of a lifetime of little moments that made up my everyday, because that's who she was. She was there, always there, a steady, loving presence, quietly making the world feel safe, warm, and full of love.
Hi, everyone. Kendall. This is to Grandpa Melvin and Grandma Lila. I wasn't fortunate enough to have 4 grandparents. My mom's dad passed away before I was born, and I only have a handful of memories of her mother. But I was lucky enough to have the best 2 grandparents anyone could ask for. God knew that they were all I needed, that they would give me and all of us the love of 4 grandparents. To me, they will always be just grandma and grandpa. As someone who comes from a broken family, the love they had for each other was and always will be the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Their love for each other was infectious, to say the least. I think we all have found or are looking for partners that would live up to the unparalleled love that they had. They were the standard we all aim for. They lived their lives by example every single day. I know Grandpa was waiting for Grandma and probably asked her what took so long. She probably told him she couldn't leave us until now because of how much we miss him and how she knew we needed her. The love Grandma had for all of us was so pure and wonderful. She would get so much joy from seeing how happy we all were. Every accomplishment, no matter how big or small, you knew she was happy and proud. She would look at you with such a warm and loving smile, it would fill your heart. Every accomplishment was a big deal in her eyes. When I was about 10 years old, I was staying at Grandma and Grandpa's one summer in the old house. I'd wake up to the smell of a hot breakfast buffet and the theme of The Price is Right. Those will always be my favorite mornings. One of those days, Jake and I wanted to make popsicle stick boats to race down the creek nearby. I would get so angry and frustrated and throw a temper tantrum because Jake's boats kept beating mine, or mine would get stuck. Grandma would calm me down with her loving embrace and say, "It's just popsicle sticks, kiddo." I didn't know that at the time, but what a life lesson that would be. Every time I'm faced with a challenging endeavor or a situation that gets the better of me, I hear her voice, "It's just popsicle sticks, kiddo." Something so small left such a lasting impact on me. That's who Grandma was. A million seemingly small gestures that I will carry with me for every day, and her love and warmth will stay with me forever. I know that the love and kindness I have in my heart, I have because of Grandma and Grandpa. I know we are all grieving and it's hard, but grief is a beautiful thing. It's all the love you never got to show that person while they were still here. And no matter how much time you spent with them, it will never be enough. Your love for them will still grow even when they're gone because they will live in your heart forever. So don't cry because they're gone. Smile because they were here. To the best grandparents a kid could ask for, we love you and we'll miss you until we see you again.
As I thought through, trying to think of all the memories that I could think of with Grandma, I found it hard because there was too many. And it really shows how great she was and how much impact she had on us. But the one memory that stuck out, another thing kind of like Kendall, is I remember I got excited to get there in the morning so I could watch The Price is Right with Grandma. We could sit there and guess the prices. And I don't know why, but even when I would be sick and have to miss school, I knew I was going to Grandma's house and I could watch The Price is Right. She was our biggest fan. She always made sure we were well fed and would always keep track of what all of us were doing. We all probably have similar memories because we were always together. We were always doing stuff with our cousins, always having a good time. And it's something that I hope I can share those memories with my girls, that they can know Grandma Lila.
So all growing up, my dad would have continuing education courses for optometry. And there were a couple bigger ones where we'd make it a whole family affair with the grandparents. And they took place in Mesquite, Nevada, St. George, and Park City. Grandma Lila and Grandpa Mel were often the designated babysitters for Ian and I, mainly me. And every year when we'd make the trip down south, I would get stuck riding in Lila and Mel's van with my mom driving. And my angsty preteen self couldn't believe it every year. And it was well known that the other car with Ian, my dad, and my other set of grandparents was much more lively and rowdy, less high stress. Between Teresa, Grandma Lila, and Mel, you can imagine the stress stuffed into one van while driving down the highway. Teresa's hands never left the steering wheel at a perfect 10 and 2 o'clock position. Meanwhile, my dad blew past us with the seat practically laid down, one hand on the wheel, surely listening to the Eagles, and we were listening to Sounds for Sunday. But Grandma Lila did always have the supreme snacks in our car. She made club sandwiches and had all the treats and homemade cookies. But one year in particular, I'll never forget. I loved the pool, and that was what I looked most forward to. And on one of the days, my parents, and another set of grandparents, and Ian, they were all going golfing. And me, I was stoked for a pool day. But before the pool, Grandma Lila and Mel had a riveting day planned for us. They planned for us to go to Denny's and then to drive to Bunkerville, Nevada to look for our dead ancestors' headstones in the small cemetery there. And it was riveting. As a 13-year-old who just wanted pool time, I was very dramatic about this setup. I was not what my parents would consider a sweet teenager. So I pitched a fit about Denny's and the day's plans, and my grandma bargained pool time for this little escapade. And so we loaded up and eventually found the cemetery. Grandma and Grandpa argued the entire time trying to find the headstones while I sat in the back seat watching Harry Potter with my portable DVD player. They eventually found the headstone, I think took a picture with our wind-up camera, and we left. And I think I got maybe an hour of pool time. The thing I didn't realize then is that these ancestors were probably there to meet and greet Grandma Lila and Mel as they moved on to the other side, welcoming them. Someday I'd like to think that maybe I'll just be welcomed a little bit better than those who went to play golf because I went to see the headstones. Grandma Lila always made things so magical and full of fun. Every holiday was to the nines with food and decorations. And she always just made that magic and made sure we were all fed and loved.
Okay. Growing up, the only grandparents my brothers and I knew were Grandpa Mel and Grandma Lila. They showed all of us throughout our lives so much love to all the grandkids and support. Because of this, last night I was stressing about what to say about Grandma Lila that would do her justice and convey the love and admiration I have for such an amazing woman. During my son Ryder's baseball practice, I told one of the moms I had so many amazing memories and I didn't know what to say. Her response was, "I promise something will come to you when you least expect it, maybe even during your sleep." Well, to some extent, she was right. As I was getting ready for bed, I had a Google Photos notification that wouldn't go away, so I opened it. There was a highlight that said "throughout the years" with a picture of Grandma Lila. So I clicked on it. Every single picture was of Grandma Lila holding one of my kids or the other great-grandkids. I can't see now. She had a smile on her face with a good look of pure joy. That was my favorite memory. As we all started having our own kids, it was always fun to see Lila's face light up every time one of the great-grandkids walked in the door. Her great-grandkids were probably her favorites. A few years ago, we went to Bear Lake, and Mel and Lila came over to just watch the kids play. At that time, Ryder, my oldest, and Anna, Alex's oldest, were just little, and they were playing a toy guitar. And Grandma just laughed and cheered for their concert as they put on for everyone. I will never take for granted that my 5 kids each got to meet her and bring a smile to her face and loved their lives. Jake, I know Grandma would have loved Carter. Grandma's finally got to meet Melissa, her oldest grandchild, and is now spoiling her with Grandpa Mel. Love you so much, Grandma. Hug Melissa and Grandpa for me.
Well, when Teresa told us to give us, to think of memories of Grandma, I didn't think there was going to be people here besides immediate family, so I don't like public speaking, so I'm going to look down the whole time. As I think back on all the childhood memories that we have, I'm so grateful for the role that Lila played in shaping who I am today. Her unconditional love, support, and wise advice were always given to us grandkids. Some of the most vivid memories include those early mornings spent with you and Grandpa enjoying breakfast before you took me to school. And I can still hear the sounds of the rest of the story with Paul Harvey in the background. And so I guess I know where I get my listening to the radio and keeping up with the news comes from. How could I forget the sound of that iconic horn from the Pontiac, Montana minivan at baseball games when I had a hit or struck someone out? That van didn't just have an iconic horn. It was always filled with tasty treats in between games. The long rides on Memorial Weekend were always an adventure with a stash of cold beverages, pickles, olives, and of course those incredible cookies that you baked with so much love. Your cooking and baking was a testament to your caring heart, and I can still taste the warmth of the homemade bread and jam we always enjoyed every Sunday at your house. It always seemed like a contest to get to your house before anyone else so we could have more than all the others. I think me and Ian would always try to have 5 or 6 slices of bread. So I always find it funny how I didn't think I liked raisins, yet I devoured your raisin-filled cookies. I believe Wes loved those things too. So your cooking was one of many ways that you showed us love and comfort. I remember the wild days spent running around the neighborhood on 2nd East with all the cousins. Even though we would always be up to no good and being mischievous in the backyard or the canal, your kind heart was always there to rescue us from our parents' or Grandpa's stern looks. I'll always be able to hear your sweet voice singing hymns like Love One Another, reminding us to always be kind and give love to those around us. You've always meant so much to me, where I never wanted to disappoint my grandma. I will continue to do that as you still watch over all of us. I love you so much, Grandma, and I will never forget. I will forever be grateful for all that you were and all that you did for us grandkids. Thank you for being the best grandma I could ever ask for. Until we meet again, I can't wait to give you a hug. Love, Josh.
Grandma, as grandkids, we were told to keep this under 2 minutes. I think that's because Grandma is back with Melvin, or known by some as Oni, and we all know his stories were really long. There are so many things I'll always remember about Grandma Lila, from the way you made everyone feel so loved and important, to your incredible cooking and your tender care for each of us. Sundays at Grandma's disappearing for hours and coming back drenched from the canal or hurt from the teeter-totter at the Smarts house, to hot tub nights when we were young were the best. As a kindergartner, Grandma would always do my hair as a comb-over. I hated it and spiked it up once she dropped me off at school. But being a Thompson, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Grandma always knew best, even though I didn't always listen. It could have saved me from getting ran over by Eldon after picture day when I was 5. Sorry about your pink bike, Autumn. Or getting stung by what it felt like 100 bees on an old play set at the neighbor's house. She said not to play on. But when in doubt, we always knew Lila was there with a popsicle and unconditional love to make our tears go away and smile. I'll always be grateful for the way you showed up for me, for all of us, with kindness and unwavering support. Hearing a honk after a good play while playing baseball with a raspberry cream Shasta in between a doubleheader. To looking up in the stands at Utah State, watching me kick it through the end zone. The foot rubs on Sunday with rubbing alcohol paid off. You had such a quiet strength, and you taught me what it means to love selflessly. Your love for Grandpa, your children, and all of us grandchildren and great-grandkids will never be forgotten. I will make sure Carter remembers you. Grandma, I love you. Give Grandpa and Melissa a hug and kiss. From me, Rosie, and Carter, I can't wait to do our handshake again one day in heaven. Until we meet again, love, Jacob.
It's quite obvious to me that those grandkids love their grandmother, as well it should be. Love is the most powerful thing in the universe. We will have a special musical number by Breton and Brielle Peterson, a violin duet. I Know That My Redeemer Lives, accompanied by Eric Rasmussen. before, just as a closing prayer, I'd like to recognize a few things here. So, interment will be at Logan City Cemetery. Pallbearers will be Alex Thompson, Kendall Thompson, Carl Thompson, Joshua Thompson, Jacob Thompson, Brian Thompson, Ian C. Holzer, and Jesse Holzer. Honorary pallbearers will be DeVerle Hoth, Valden Hoth, Raymond Hoth, Kaylin Knowles, and Casey Wilson, Winslow. Also, dedication of the grave will be given by Brian.
We're grateful for the plan of salvation, that we can meet again as a joyous family, to be able to reminisce of the good times and the future as we hold. We ask at this time to bless us as we move to the place of interment, that we'll be safe and enjoy one another's company as we move towards the end of this service. These favors and blessings we ask in thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Congregation, please rise. You're dismissed.